If you hear knocking in the middle of the night, don't answer, because the dead don't knock. They don't need permission. They don't ask to come inside. They wait. And if you've ever felt watched while standing just a few feet from your own door, then this story already knows you. The rain had been falling since dusk. Not loudly, not violently, just enough to make the house sound alive. Every drop against the window felt deliberate, like fingertips testing glass, the kind of rain that doesn't stop, it listens. The house was old, not abandoned, not falling apart, just tired. Wood that creaked even when no one moved, walls that remembered heat, voices, arguments, and silence. There's a difference between quiet and silence. Quiet is empty. Silence is waiting. I was alone that night, completely. No music, no television, just the ticking clock in the hallway. It didn't tick evenly. It hesitated.
Not a call, not a message. A notification from the doorbell camera. Motion detected. I remember laughing under my breath. Probably rain, probably a stray cat. But when I opened the feed, I stopped breathing. Someone was standing outside my door. Not pacing, not knocking, just standing there. Too still. The camera distorted their face slightly, like the lens didn't want to decide what it was seeing. They stood just far enough back that the porch light didn't reach them fully. And they didn't move. I watched the feed for 6 minutes. 6 full minutes. They never shifted their weight, never scratched, never leaned. Human beings don't stand like that. I whispered, "Hello?" The word felt loud in my mouth. Outside, nothing changed. Then, without warning, the motion alert ended. The feed returned to an empty porch. No footsteps, no retreat, just absence.
The next night, it happened again. Same time, 2:11 a.m. Same distance from the door. Same stillness. No knock, no sound, just waiting. By the fourth night, I stopped sleeping. I began leaving the feed open beside my bed, watching the door instead of dreaming. And every night, they stood closer. Not by much, a step, half a step, as if measuring something, as if learning. I started searching online. Not someone outside my door, not stalker. Those words were too small. I searched silent figures at night, people who stand outside houses, apparitions that don't knock, buried forums, old posts, stories that ended abruptly. One comment appeared again and again. They don't knock. Knocking is for the living. Another. Once you acknowledge them, they move. And the worst one, they wait until you're ready to replace them. There's something I hadn't thought about in years. A door. Years ago, my brother stood outside my apartment in the rain. I was angry, tired. I didn't open the door. I told myself I would in a minute. He never knocked again. By morning, the police were knocking instead. Ever since then, I never answered doors after dark. And I think something noticed that.
The figure began changing, subtly. Their postures started to look familiar. Shoulders slightly hunched, head tilted the way my brother used to when he waited for someone to speak first. The camera never showed their face clearly, but my mind filled in the rest. One night, the feed picked up sound. Not footsteps, breathing, slow, patient, in sync with my own.
On the seventh night, I left the house. I couldn't take it anymore. I drove aimlessly until dawn. When I returned, the cameras showed something impossible. At 2:11 a.m., while I was gone, the figure was inside, standing in the hallway, facing the bedroom, waiting. The door never opened.
I found an old journal online, scanned pages from a closed psychiatric ward. Patients described figures that appeared after loss, after guilt, after silence. One doctor's note was underlined. These entities do not arrive. They remain. They wait for acknowledgement or replacement. Replacement, not possession. Succession.
I stopped checking the camera. I stopped sleeping. Because I knew something now. The figure wasn't outside. It was behind me, waiting for me to leave, waiting for me to stop being me.
At 2:11 a.m., I opened the door. The porch was empty, but the house wasn't. Behind me, I felt breath on my neck, not cold, not hot, familiar. I turned and saw myself standing, waiting, smiling gently, like someone finally being allowed to come home. I left the house, moved cities, changed routines, but people began standing outside my new place, silent, watching, not knocking. I recognized the posture because it was mine. The dead don't knock, because knocking is asking. Waiting is claiming. And once you've waited long enough, someone else takes your place.
If you've ever seen someone standing outside your door at night, if they didn't knock, if they just waited, tell us, because remembering them is the only thing that stops them or starts them.
Check your door.